Okay, can I get a quick sound check? Can everyone hear me?
Hello, Ken?
Yep, you kind of went away there for a second.
Yeah, I was trying to get the phone call number for those guys, but I can't cut and paste it. So I just said, just go to the audio section.
Okay, it's 3 p.m. Do you want to start the recording? I've started the broadcast.
Oh, you started the broadcast?
Yeah.
Okay, no, recording is starting then. All right. I just want to verify, welcome everybody. Just want to verify that you can hear us. Just go to the question section, somebody please, and just make sure that you verify that you can hear us.
Yep, we got a yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks everyone. Ken doesn't need an introduction, so I won't give him a long one or a bad one. But what I'd like to say is I will be monitoring the question section, so please put your questions in there. And then I will either interrupt Ken or we'll answer them at the end. So thank you very much. And Ken, it's all yours.
Excellent, let's get going. Hello everyone. We've got a lot to cover here. I promise not to display anyone by PowerPoint, but we are going to use them just to kind of keep us organized. Okay, so here's the agenda. We're going to be covering the keystroke licensing and renewal updates, our new marketing and support services we'll be reviewing, and then two major product announcements. One I know that everyone has been anticipating, which is the handheld contact API for Android. We're going to give you a demo of that. And the last one is a surprise we'll be getting into. Okay. So I'm going to pivot around screens just to kind of, pivot between browsers and that so I can demonstrate each of these functions. So the first one is the licensing renewal tool. Now, some of you guys are familiar with the licensing renewal tool. Okay, there we are. Licensing renewal tool, where let me just quickly go down here. We scroll down, we click on the add-on renewal tool from our homepage. And this is for our subscription products. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the process of renewing a tables for ACT license. So we're gonna go down here, tables for ACT activation. Now, normally the process would be that you purchase it online, we reapply it, but now you can automatically reactivate your own license key. Okay, and you can do it instantly. Now, if you do it within the 30 days prior to subscription, I'm just going to paste this in. Okay, look what happens here. So you select the product, you paste it in your key, and now you're going to get a status. Okay, it says the expiry date is June 30th, 2020. It's noticed, hey, you're renewing it early, so we're going to give you 10% off. Okay. Get discount if you renew today. And then you just click on renew and you go through the normal checkout workflow. Now, when you're done, this will automatically update your key. So even if you leave it to the last minute, it can get updated and you can go. If you send us purchase orders or send us checks, who knows what can happen in terms of the timing of that, whether or not it will be processed before or after your renewal, plus it won't involve those 10% savings. Now, most of the people on this call are partners or resellers. So let me assure you that if you log in, then your additional discount will apply. Okay, so you can still sell this on margin successfully. Okay, so some of that's review, but I just wanted to kind of go back and let's go back to the homepage and show you something else that we've added. Okay, and that's the add-on license updater. Now, what we're finding is that a lot of people, thousands of people quite literally, have purchased Act for Outlook 2 and they want to upgrade to Act for Outlook 3. We offer that free of charge. Okay, so you can pass that on to your customers if they want to if they're having any problem with licensing or they want to access the new update, they can. So let me show you how that works. So you click that page and paste in your license key, click on search, and it will automatically say your key has been updated, here is your new key. So then you go to the download page, which we'll cover separately. You download Act for Outlook 3, uninstall the previous version, install this, and you will be able to update to this latest version. Okay, that's free of service. You can do that yourself. If everything's working fine, then leave it alone. Okay, but I did mention the FTP site. So I wanted to cover that because we are making some changes that are going to impact some of our resellers and our customers. This is our FTP site, ftp.actforwork.com. Why are we using the actforwork.com? We're using it because we want you guys to have a white labeled download source that you can send your customers to without the keystroke branding all over it. We've done that for the last few years. The only thing I'm going to mention is, as some of you guys are aware, certain browsers don't resolve FTP addresses very well, so you've got to put in the fully qualified name, ftp://ftp.actforwork.com, and then this will appear. Now, what you're going to discover is that, if you use this as your standard download landing page, okay, whenever you're trying to get, you can pretty much find everything. Everything is intuitively named. You don't need a decoder ring or work with acronyms generally. All of these programs are pretty easy to source. Just go by alphabetical order and you can quickly find which program you're looking for. Okay, so the reason I'm mentioning that is that if you go back to our homepage and you go to our programs and the keystroke download page, okay, we are going to be phasing this out over the next few weeks. I've seen some internal staff. This is a plugin called JDownloads that we use for a little while. We've seen some staff recently even refer customers to it. So I thought I'd throw it out there to the resellers that this is something that we're going to be discontinuing. So if this was a download resource, please disregard. We found it very cumbersome to obviously update, even where links were concerned, to download sources. So this we're going to phase out. There's we also want to keep the keystroke site, the data directory, separate from downloads. So that's another reason we're doing it. But the biggest thing is simplicity for management. And we get people every single day that are emailing us asking for the download link for something. If you go to this, you're going to find it. Okay, so I thought that would be nice and simple for people to work with. Okay, so we are going to be discontinuing the download page. Okay, the next update we've got is the product updates. Okay, so the product updates, we don't have a lot going on right now outside of what we're going to be demoing separately as part of this presentation, but quoting for ACT is going to involve a complete rewrite. Okay, for those that are not aware, we actually had a co-op student a couple of years ago develop this as a summer project. It was about 4 months, and truthfully, our chief developer has spent pretty much since then patching it, okay, and kind of cobbling it along. And then recently, a few weeks ago, we asked him to completely rewrite it from scratch, as he would have done it. And it is, we've done that. We're just in the final stages of beta testing it this week. And Austin and I are kind of going back and forth on that. But one of the changes that we are making is that this is only going to be available as a Windows SDK add-on. We had an APFW plugin for that, but truthfully, it became so confusing to people that we had an activation-based system, then we had a per-user-based system, and then we had to explain, well, yes, this DLL only works with third-party hosting providers and not with Act Premium Cloud or the single sign-on. So we just thought, it's not worth it for us to, rewrite that as well and then having to sell it defensively, as I just described. So we're phasing that out, and it's strictly going to be an SDK product for the Windows client. Okay, and the other thing is the Book to Act. So Book to Act, very popular with our resellers and our customers, but what we found is that there was a couple of bugs relating to the API, and we work with SwiftPage every single week. We got them to finally fix that, where let's say I booked a meeting for all of my staff. If someone went to my Book to Act window, they would see me as unavailable for that time slot, but all of the other staff that were under the scheduled with, they would not be listed as available, so thus creating the risk of double booking. So we've got that fixed where the schedule 4 is different. So that was fixed on the SwiftPage side. The other thing is we had some Pacific Coast issues with blacklisting. We've just fixed that as well. If you are using the service and you've got some existing blacklists in place, please go into your settings and remove those and then re-enter them, and that should eliminate any errors. Okay. The last thing on the licensing front is offline activation. So any of our add-ons now support offline activation. So if you're installing it into a secure environment, financial planners, a bank, or things like that, and they will often blacklist a lot of, or just whitelist servers on a server by server basis, you may find it difficult to get the our activation server whitelisted in time for the activation. So what you can do is you can now call in with by clicking on offline activation, and we can complete that process for you and get you activated offline.
Ken,
Okay.
One quick question here. I have a client with 20 licenses of Act for Outlook 2.0. If I manage the license update and don't do the work right away, will they have issues with the existing install serials?
They shouldn't. I mean, if it's working, it's working. Like we're not discoing the product. This is a free upgrade, so it has no impact on the viability of their licensing whatsoever. What we're finding is that the problem with our 2.0 licensing system, it was vulnerable to Windows updates, especially some major ones of late, where it would deactivate itself and prompt to re-register. We completely rewrote the licensing system and also purchased a third-party one to implement this. And now the only one that's still using the old one is our tables product, because it has an activation by user, which is pretty hard to define third-party.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so let's get back to the next screen. Okay, so the next screen relates to our marketing and support services. Okay, now KQD, what is KQD? KQD stands for Keystroke Quality Designs, and it's a little known fact outside of this company that Keystroke Quality Designs was actually the original name of the company that I started in 1994. It was Quality Computers by Design. It seemed like, a sensible thing back then, so we booked the domain. But by 1998, we needed to incorporate as Keystroke Quality Computing, and we kind of left that behind. However, at the beginning of this year, we started to ramp up a marketing company, okay, that was offering website services, design services, logo and branding, SEO, SEM. These are services that we've actually been providing for our customers for years, okay? And we've beefed up with the addition of our marketing manager and additional SEO staff. We've got another web developer coming on board. We've got our chief web developer as well. Okay, he's out of country, but he still works full time. And so we've got quite a few resources on this. And then we had another project manager out of Quebec, and we were all ramped up. We kind of kept this under wraps for several months, and we were all ramped up, ready to launch in early March. And then of course the world blew up. Okay, so just to kind of give you a quick peek, this is kqd.ca. And I'm not going to cover all the different sections of this website because we're limited with time, and besides, everyone can review this offline, but you can see the services, design-wise, development-wise, marketing-wise, hosting, copywriting, so on and so forth. Please go through this. This is actually something that, obviously in the context as we know all of you guys through our ACT reseller and distribution is going to seem unfamiliar, but this is something we've been doing for years, as well as the staff that we've been bringing on as well. So we were all ramped up to do this, and then of course the world blew up, and then we've kind of dampened that down. But it's been a few months now. We've added Billy Clark, who is now MAS certified, and we thought, what better time to kind of reintroduce and relaunch our KQD marketing division. So we wanted to mention this. Now, why am I mentioning this? I don't expect any of you guys to turn around and say, hey, do me a website. However, all of you guys are buying and reselling. Okay, you're implementing solutions. So we thought, let's let everyone know about us as a resource for you to offer us as a white labeled resource or white labeled service. Okay, so if you've run into any of your customers that have websites that you think need work or holding them back, then you guys as resellers have the ability to go in and pitch a solution. Even if you're just introducing us, you will get 25%, and then websites can run into the thousands. So this can be like a really, really nice passive source of income that you can generate just by introducing. Now, I am sure there's going to be people on these calls that are saying, really, you want me to introduce introduce the, the biggest reseller, the Dark Lord to my ACT customers? I just want to remind everyone of one thing. Now, some of these, the partners on the call are aware with this. We have been the master of VAR for Canada for the last 5 years. We've processed every single order in Canada for the last 5 years, and there hasn't been one single complaint ever. We've always respected people's the proprietary and the ownership of people's customers, and obviously, if you were to engage us, we would of course continue to do so. So just please feel assured that we have a fairly long track record of respecting people's reseller of record. Okay. Now, in addition to that, I also wanted to show you another thing. What was funny, I mentioned Billy earlier, and I'm just going to paste this in. Okay, since we've hired Billy, and this was not something I necessarily expected, but since we hired Billy, lots of people have been, congratulating us and saying, oh, by the way, am I able to hire him? Okay, and we thought about this, and Billy is only one of like 5 level 3 technicians we've got. We obviously have Dwayne Anderson, we have Awesome, the developer of tables and many of our other programs. We have Michael Cadlow. We have Greg Davis. Now we have Billy. So we've got lots of level 3 technicians that all have different skill sets in different areas, and we want to make them available to you guys again as a white labeled service. So to that extent, to that end, I should say, what we're doing is we're going to offer the VIP diamonds for that. So VIP Diamond or VIP Diamond Plus. Now, what you're looking at here is the end user pricing. If you log in, you're going to get your 25% off, and that's going to equal less than $115 per hour. So, all we're going to ask is that you make the commitment to one of these diamond solutions. If you run out of time, you can buy another one. It's not like the same thing with customers that are limited to 1 per year. You can buy as many as you like based on revolving projects, whatever suits your interest. Okay. Obviously, the bigger the buy, the bigger the savings. But, on average, you're looking at about less than $115 per hour. Now, when you think of the talent of the people that I just listed off that range everything from advanced SQL work to programming work, scripting, you name it, you can easily bill out at $200 per hour for this. The only thing we're going to say is we're going to be looking for a minimum 4-hour commitment based on that reseller rate. Okay, we're not interested in doing the 1 hour thing. All of these guys are on salaries. Obviously, we've made a major commitment to them, and if we're asking that if anyone wants to engage their services, then we're going to ask for a minimum 4-hour commitment. So this was something that I wanted to kind of throw out there because we've had actually a really surprising amount of inquiries recently since Billy joined us, which obviously was a high profile addition, but we wanted to say this is available for you guys. Okay. The last thing before we get to the demos, okay, is the Keystroke reseller page. We've got a lot of Keystroke partners, the Keystroke Partner Program, KPPs. We also have a lot of Keystroke resellers on this call. And I wanted to just show a new page that we've added under About Us in the Keystroke Reseller Program. Okay. I'm not going to go through reading all of this. You guys can see it here, but there's 2 things I wanted to bring to your attention. One, the new Keystroke Authorized Reseller Badge. If you've gone through the process, you are authorized and you've got a login account for the website, you are entitled to download this, okay, and put it on your website, put it on any digital spaces that you manage, okay, and just to advertise that you are an authorized reseller for over 100 of our products, okay, and entitled to not only first-time margins, but also recurring margins on any of the subscription products. So please feel free to use that. I wanted to introduce the updated branding. And then the last thing was the media kits. So if you click on this, okay, this is going to bring you over to another FTP, ftp.keystroke.ca. Now, why are we using this one? Well, this is not an end user site. We wouldn't expect anyone to be referring anyone to the Keystroke site, so we're doing it under our own branding. But here is the media kit. So if you click on, say book to act, you can download a zip file of tons of images. As you can see, this is 60 megs, tons of images, scripts, things like that, that you can use to either add items to your shopping cart or just add items to your website for products that you resell, okay? Same things for HHC. We've got the API and we've got the classic. And then we've got notifier, opt-in manager, quoting for act, reseller images. These are some of the badges, okay? And then tables for act, okay? Tons of images with this. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of review those resources from a reseller level, because we've put a lot of effort, as you would expect, we put a lot of effort into helping you guys sell our products. So we just wanted to show some of the new resources available with that. Okay, so let's scroll down and let's get to the first demo. So handheld contact API, Android edition. This has been coming for months. We'll break it down into introduction, initial setup, program tour, a calendar, contests, task details, and opportunities. Some of these sections aren't ready to demo, but I wanted to, we'll be going through a video and I'll be kind of narrating it so that everyone can see the product in action. Okay, so let's go here and I'm going to get this started. Okay, let's get going on this. Okay, hold on. Okay, and here we go. Okay, so when the iOS version of Handheld Contact came out, before I start the video, in late March this year, many quickly asked about the Android version and when it would be available. As everyone that has sold our products in the past, we normally try to release updates like this for all of our platforms at once. In this particular case, we could not do that because the developers that we have for Android and for iOS and the console are different. So in this case, we actually had competing sprint commitments, so we couldn't run them simultaneously so we can release them at the same time. However, 3 months later, we're pleased to offer this sneak peek of the Android version today that we expect to release commercially in early to mid-July. Now, the timing of this webinar is fairly interesting in that last week we had update 5 for ACT, and that taught us that the release date should ultimately be determined by the beta feedback. So we had a lot of beta feedback last week. I saw all of it, and it seemed like the release was launched anyway, and now they're rushing out update 2. We did a little bit of that in the summer of 2017. None of us are anxious to repeat that process again. So I just want to assure people that while we can say a rough commit time in terms of release date, ultimately the exact release date will be driven by the feedback. Okay. Now, the big technology advancement introduced with Handheld Contact API last March was the ability for Handheld Contact subscribers to sync directly with their master database and get more updates of more data faster and on more devices than possible with the classic version. Well, we're pleased to report that the Android version will be built on the same technology and will be able to operate in the same way. Like the iOS version, the initial setup will follow the same workflow. So let's get going on that. Okay, when you launch Handheld Contact API for the first time, you'll be presented with a green screen, not the orange screen. Okay, you can see the green versus the orange. Okay, followed by a couple of Android security questions. Now, this is something that we can't get around. Okay, but just say allow on each one. Okay, the first is asking permission to access your device's contacts for importing, and the second will be allowing Android or HAC to manage phone calls. To enjoy full functionality, we recommend obviously allowing both, okay? The next screen prompts you for the web API address, database name, login, and password, just like you saw us go through, just like you've seen on some of our other products, okay? So let's click on next. Okay, so now what it's going to do, it's going to go through the login process. As you can see, it's Cloud Elements. So this is a little bit slower because it's using Act Connect as opposed to a hosted solution. And then so the next screen, once that's done logging in, will prompt you for your HHC account credentials. okay? And just give that a moment. And now see it's logged in successful and it's presenting you with the account credentials, okay? The next screen asks you to select the group that you'll be syncing with. So after it goes in, okay, and remember, classic users would normally configure this information in the console, but the API has no console, so these configurations must be made on the device during the initial setup, okay? So we're gonna select our group, okay, and then the next screen is for selecting the ACT data fields that you want mapped to your device. So which fields are gonna be synced over? These are easily indicated with the simple slider buttons, with most of the default fields pre-selected. So as you can see, you can just select on any of the custom fields, prompt you can select. Okay, so what that kind of breezes by is you've got a little checkbox that prompts you to, if you want to download opportunities. Okay, so you've got download opportunities here. You can select open only, okay, and then this gives you the option for all of the opportunity information. Okay. Let's continue. So it's obviously selecting much like it did with contacts. Okay, and now would you like to download now? Okay, then we start this process. And that's it for the initial setup. The next stage is to download the data. So this section is a bit slower than what some of you guys have seen with the iOS version, because we've not begun the multi-threaded optimization of this process yet, okay, for Android, but it will be improved by the launch date. That said, okay, what from beginning to end, we'll be importing a full demo database in under a minute. So now you can see the contacts coming through. Okay, now for iOS users, people have seen like 4,000 contacts a minute. Okay, so we know that we've got the ability to download quite a bit faster, but you know, we're still about a month away from releasing this, so we wanted to kind of give you guys a taste before everything is fully optimized. Now it's completing the ops, and now it's done. Okay, now we're going to begin the program tour. Now there's a couple more Android specific steps we've got to go through, and let me show you what those are. So the first thing, we're going to go into the contact list, but here is, you can see there's no tasks, right? Okay, well, here's where we click on the little overflow button here, and we got to again give permission to access, you know, which users tasks we want to download. So we select all or one, and then suddenly they appear. Okay, so again, you're going to click up here, you're going to select which user, okay, and it's a one-time filter. So even if there's one user, you're going to have to select that user. Okay, I know that seems counterintuitive, but we got to go through that security workflow with Android devices. Okay, so with that, that's done. Okay, and now we're going to repeat the exact same process for calendars. Okay, we go up here, calendars to show. Okay, and we'll have all of that. Okay, so now you can see the activities. You can see the drop down here for day, weeks, and months. Okay, and now you can see the activities available in the calendar. Now you're going to see this little plus sign. I'm going to repeat to this a couple of times, but this plus sign is present in any of the details views or any of the, not detailed views, or any of the list views or calendar views or task lists throughout the application. And basically this means add. Okay, so you'll be able to add, in this case, a calendar item. Okay, as you can see it on the daily item. Okay, now you'll see here this this little menu screen here, where previously was on the bottom. Now it's available through either the hamburger menu up at the top left, or through swiping right or swiping left. So it provides, a completely collapsed, easy to access menuing system, enabling easy access or easy navigation around the application. Okay, 340. Okay, so let's get into contacts. Okay, so the contacts screen should be familiar to most classic users, with standard settings and familiars in the and filters in the top right-hand corner. Okay, you'll also note the yellow plus sign circle indicating add a contact. And as I said, this icon is placed similarly throughout the app for tasks, ops, and calendars. The first time you click on a contact, the Android will prompt for permission, and this is for storage, for pictures and location. Inside any detail page, whether it be contacts, tasks, ops, etc., you'll also see the add button replaced with a yellow edit button. So let's jump into that. So here's the settings. This is going through and kind of confirming your account information, but here's all the different setting options from within that screen, verifying your account. Okay, back to the screen. Let's go into the detail view. See, the second you go in here, it's going to prompt you. You're going to say yes. Okay. Now, from within the contact, you'll have, as I said, the standard notes and such. Okay, very, very familiar with the tabs going across the top. Now we got contact details, activities. Obviously, you can drill into any one of these things. We're just going to wait for notes here. Okay, so going to the, okay, let's click on, go further. I mean, this is a pretty familiar screen. The only difference is really the icon. Okay, now, what you're going to notice different about this particular, the notes section is, unlike the classic version where you typically would get an aggregate of 5, okay, of notes and histories. I think we increased that recently to 20 as an aggregate, and you had to kind of select which proportion of which between notes and histories. But for now, with the API version in both iOS and for Android, you get automatically download on demand. So in this case, I'm in Chris Huffman's. You're going to get automatically, the second you click on the notes, it's going to download the last 20. Not combined, the last 20 notes. And when you click on history, it will download the last 20 histories. The reason we did that is to obviously increase the performance of each of the syncs. So it wasn't bringing down X number of contacts plus X number of notes and histories, which might be 20 times the contacts and then 20 times the contacts again for each of notes and histories. So this will definitely improve the efficiency of the syncing. Just be mindful of that. If you're in an offline situation where you're going to click on that, you may not have them available under those circumstances. Okay, then the opportunities. History, same thing, where it's going to download the last 20. Okay, swipe, and let's go over to opportunities. I'm going to pause here for a second. So HHC actually downloads all the data for opportunities to the device. So we are not limited by some of the endpoints the API has, like some of the other apps are. For instance, and I've seen this over and over again for the last couple of years, any companion users will tell you ops are virtually unusable because there is no endpoint for status. So companion users are forced to sift through all of their ops, open and close, to find the one that they're looking for. And anyone that's a heavy user of opportunities, obviously over years and years and years, this is going to create a lot of extra work just to find the most current one. So with us, we get around that by downloading it directly to the device, where then the application can do some of the filtering.
Now, Ken, is there a way to filter for activities? Some of my customers have activities going back a long way.
Oh, you mean like filter by completed or not completed? Or filter by dates and such?
Probably by dates is, I think, what Steve is talking about.
I might have to get back to you on that just to confirm, because I'm not an Android user and I don't want to give an iOS answer for an Android, but I would expect that most of the filter options available should be in iOS should be available in Android. But you know, I'm going to have to get back to you on that. If that's Steve McCandlish, then Steve,
Yes.
I'll ping you afterwards. Okay, good question though. Okay, so here's the opportunity details. Okay, now you'll notice here, once you drill into the details, you've got the edit button available. So it's no longer an add button. Okay, it's an edit button. Okay. Now we click on that, goes into edit mode. Okay, and you can go through and edit every single section of the opportunity like you can within the application itself. Okay, you can edit any field, you can edit the process, you can edit the stage, okay, whatever you know, suits that user's needs. Okay, and then once back at the top, you click on products there. Okay, and then we pivot back. We're just wrapping up. Now you'll notice, let me just go back here. Okay, you'll notice here, I'm gonna pause this one screen. As we finish this, we're going to go back to this screen here. So what we've covered the contacts, we've covered the calendars, we've covered the tasks, the opportunities, sync, and everything else, and obviously sign out. What we haven't covered is the dashboard. Now, any of the iOS users that have got access to an iOS phone or an iOS you know, tablet, they've seen our version of the dashboard. And the dashboard is basically, it's a landing page. It's a home page where it's going to cover the summary. It's going to display the number of contacts, the number of activities, the number of upcoming events you've got, and then it's going to display things in list mode below that, saying here's your today's activities, here's this month's opportunities, so you can actually see them in list as opposed to summary. That particular feature is being built next week, so I couldn't include it in today's demo, and I would say that with the exception of small differences in terms of the features, the design capabilities of Android versus iOS, the functionality and the UI should be very similar between the two. Okay.
Now, the quick question, do we have access to custom table fields?
No. Custom fields, yes. Custom fields or custom table fields, no.
Thank you.
Okay. So that concludes the Android version. So what is this big surprise that we've got? Okay, well, anyone that has ever sold ACT has gotten the question, does it work on a Mac? Well, traditionally, let me just pause here. Okay, traditionally, this has inspired one of these awkward explanations. I'm sure this will be familiar. Yes, you can access ACT for Web through the browser. It's great. You can edit and look up and things like that. You just don't have access to any of the Office plugins because those are only written for Windows. Or you can kind of, but you can install a VM using Parallels or Fusion or something like that and install Windows and ACT and Office, a totally self-contained environment. And as you've probably figured out by the time you launch into that full explanation, you've probably already lost the customer, because who wants to go to that much trouble for a particular CRM, any CRM? And my personal favorite is, oh yeah, you can do it on a Mac. Just install Boot Camp, which is similar to running Windows directly on the Apple hardware with the Mac OS available only after a complete reboot. So you're kind of booting into one or the other. So you've got these completely self-contained Windows and Mac operating systems. So that doesn't provide for really easy toggling. None of those options are particularly exciting when you explain those to the users, okay? So needless to say, that left Mac users' joy less than full, as it was clear they needed a PC to truly work within an ACT user group. That was until now. Handheld Contact is pleased to announce our July beta launch plans for Handheld Contact Mac Edition. That is, this is what we've been waiting for, an on-premise Mac OS client, similar to Handheld Contact API, which accesses the ACT data through the web API and provides local integration for Office, and most importantly, keeps the data local to the Mac. Okay, So please note, like the HHC API, the Android and the iOS client and the Android I just demonstrated, groups and companies will continue to be absent from this version. Okay, so just please note of that when you're talking about being available. Okay, but let's take a quick tour. Okay, the initial screen on the first launch will require you to enter in the address, the database name, the login and password. This is exactly like the HHC products that I just demonstrated, and similar to our other API products like Booked Act and Act for Mail. Okay. Sorry, 1 second. I've just got to kill the call here. Okay. So we're entering in that information. So as you can see, all very similar. And then we click on Login, and we advance to the next screen, which we know to be the HHC information. Now, please note, if you are an HHC Classic user, this will not work, nor will accounts within the API product work either. Okay, so let me give you a very fast explanation of how we're going to commercially present the Handheld Contact Mac. So if you are a existing Handheld Contact API subscriber, okay, so whether it's iOS or it's Android, all you have to do is upgrade to what will amount to a Plus account for an additional $40. Okay, so if you're paying $80, you'll pay $40 and you'll have access to the Mac edition. You're not limited, just like the API version. You're not limited to one device. You can have it on as many devices and as many Macs as you like. Now, obviously, we're not expecting people to have as many Macs as they do mobile devices, but we just wanted to make sure that we had some kind of continuity with that. Now, if you've had a customer with no mobility needs whatsoever, okay, and we all hear that, but they do have a Mac user, and often these are either the president's of the company or something, and they just want to be included in the active user group, then what you can do is you can tell them for $80, just a regular subscription, they can get a Mac only subscription, and they can put it on as many of their Macs as they like, their home one, their work one, laptop, whichever, and they are able to access it all for that one cost. Now, obviously, this is a per user basis. It's not for their whole team, but they can have as many Macs for their account as possible. So it's either a $40 upgrade or it's an $80 standalone package. Okay, so once you've logged in, you'll continue your first time orientation, and the next step is the field selection. Now, obviously, we're dealing with a wide form factor, which makes it a lot more pleasant and easier to navigate than the mobile form factor. So you can see here, this is where you would do all your field mapping. So by default, much like we do with Handheld Contact, a lot of the primary fields are already pre-selected for you. And then you can see the available custom fields, not custom table fields, the available custom fields where you can select this little toggle here and switch it over to sync this field. As you can tell, you can stretch out the columns, scroll up and down, and you also have the little drop down, sync the drop down buttons over here as well. Okay. Very easy to navigate. And then getting to the drop downs, again, you can just stretch it around. Everything is very easy to manage and view. Okay, the next stage, okay, is selecting the group. We just went through this with the Android. You've got to select a group that you're going to be syncing with. So we'll do that, and you'll see at the bottom, it's once you've selected that, you've got a checkbox to sync the opportunities as well. Okay, click on this, and then suddenly the sales processes appear, and then you can select the status. Okay, and then begins the download process. which, as you can see, very, very fast. And you've got 462 over, and now it comes to our dashboard. Okay, so this is a very, very different presentation of the dashboard. Okay, and we're really, really pleased with this. It displays all the important information in one place, and will likely be your homepage moving forward. So when you launch into the program, you're going to see this general summary of all the events that you've got going on. So but I just want to kind of emphasize all the workflow that we've seen leading up to this stage is just for the initial setup stage. Okay, obviously the next time you launch this, you're going to get just this page. Okay, the macOS dashboard is a little bit different from the iOS version, okay, in that it displays the summary data in a more intuitive columns for easier navigation. At the top, you get the summary values of the total contacts, so you can see through here, okay? Okay, contacts, opportunities, activities, each of which are drillable. And beneath those, you have got quick functions like, adding a task, adding an opportunity, and they're all and they're clickable. These summaries can reflect the ops and activities for all users or just the login user as the configurable dashboard option. Okay, and then below these are the columns. So, you can see here where you've got the today's activities, and each one of these are drillables. You can scroll up and down if they run off the screen. And then here, what you saw here is a little toggle that allows you to expand or collapse, in this case, collapse the side menu, okay, given, whatever is your viewing comfort. Okay, and as you can see, you can scroll up and down each one of these. And then here's your sync information here. And then that little sync button will also action the sync window. Okay, so let's get into contacts. So here is the contact screen. Okay, the contact screen you can access from the dashboard or the side menus, and displays the contact lists in a familiar format with the list on the left and the selected contact details on the right. Like most of our HHC products, there is a read and a write mode. So if you want to edit any of the contact details, you're going to have to click on the edit up here. Okay, on the action bar and make the changes and then click on save. This is something that we've always had and always emphasized within Handheld Contact, and we believe, and we think a lot of ACT consultants will confirm, that this helps safeguard the data from careless users that just click into fields, inadvertently try to look up a field data by overwriting the field information, and this is why we've often seen so many people with my record information that's completely overwritten and invalid. So we thought, just to protect the data from people that are a little twitchy with the mouse, that we would create this read and write mode, not unlike a lot of CRMs. Okay, and as you can see, you are able to stretch things around, and you can see where you've got access to notes and histories. Now, I want to just emphasize one little thing. This is still downloaded on demand. However, I'm pleased to report that with the Mac client, you actually, instead of 20, you get the last 50 notes and histories, okay? 50 of each. So much more rich detail for, that you would expect on a Mac versus a mobile device. Just show the easy navigation, opportunities, just as you would expect. Okay, now searching is also really easy. So you can search just like you would with Handheld Contact, where you can kind of scroll up and down depending on the number of contacts you've got, or you can type into the field and search that way, okay? But let's show you another way that we've got. Searching up and down. Watch what happens when you click on the little search button. It automatically displays the fields that you can search by. So you select that field, and when selected, you can then type in there and it will find it based on that field value, okay? You can also then pivot to what we call grid view. by clicking on our little grid icon at the top. We call it grid view because obviously we present all of the contacts, all of the tasks, all of everything in a list view format. So we wanted to kind of distinguish that with a grid view, which is much more like the traditional spreadsheet of having, you know, standard rows and columns. Okay. Now on that note, all of this in any of our list views, we're going to add a little export to Excel button so you can have access to, you know, the Mac version of Office and have that kind of functionality that most of the users have come to expect. Okay, now if you don't have all the data readily available on your view, instead of customized columns, we've got our column chooser, which you can right click on the anywhere on the header bar and select the columns that you want to add. Okay, scrolling up and down, watch how easy it is to drag and drop the one that you want into your list view. It's that easy. Okay, and yes, all the column headers will support both sorting and filtering. So the filtering may come a month or so later, okay, because we haven't fully scoped out exactly how long that particular feature is going to take. But sorting is going to be activated by when you brush your mouse across it, it's going to display either a sort icon or a filter icon. So this will allow you to easily sort your entire list in ascending or descending. Obviously, you know, you'll click on one and then click on it again to reverse that, okay, or by right-clicking and enabling the filter feature. Now, this is something that's really cool. What you can do is, let's say you're viewing your contacts like this. You can select by city, you can filter by a particular city, and then you can filter by maybe ID status, and then filter by, you know, email contains at. And what you can actually produce is a narrowing lookup just based on column header filters. So we're looking forward to implementing that. I promise you that will be in the program. I just don't know if it will be in the July release, but it will definitely be in the summer release. We don't, I think we've kind of decided that we want that feature in. We're just not sure whether or not we're going to push the release date on account of it, but do expect that as a free update. Okay, next thing, we're going to go over to calendars. Now the calendars, I'm just going to pause on. The calendars were a bit more work than we originally scoped, because what we expected there to be some libraries available, as there are with iOS, but unfortunately we actually had to design all the calendar views pretty much from scratch. So this consumed a bit more of our project time than we were expecting. But we're pretty pleased with you know, what we've come up with. You know, here's the daily view. And just going to pause here. If you're in the daily view, there's a little, it's just a little off screen because it unfortunately had to be cropped to fit this this exact screen measurements for the MacBook Air. But down here is a little mini calendar icon that you can click on, that this will pop up and allow you to, you know, kind of fast forward to, you know, any of the future dates that you want, you know, without pivoting over to, you know, other views. Okay, so you can kind of stay within it and look around that way.
So
okay.
Quick question, Ken.
Yeah.
Can I send an email from here and have it linked to the client record?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely going to be functioning. In fact, it's going to do it much like the handheld contact, where, you know, you'll draft it and then it will pass it off to Outlook. So it will actually be recorded like handheld contact in advance of it being passed on to Outlook.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, here's the weeks, here's the week, and here's the month. Okay, back to days. Okay, and now we're going to pivot over to the task list. Once you click on the task button on the left side menu, the task list view will appear. Same as contacts, tasks appear in list view by default and read only mode. Okay, and then we have the same kind of grid view options for, you know, choosing columns, sorting, and filtering. Unlike the, I'm just going to allow this to continue so you can see it in grid view. Okay, when you click on grid view, we're also going to have a quick filter option here where you can select the tasks by user, select the tasks by activity type, okay, just because that's a little bit more intuitive than it would be on a contact list. So we'll be incorporating those filters into the action bar.
Another quick question, Ken. Can it use a default mail program on a Mac and still link?
As I said, it should be recording the history before it passes it on to the mail client. So the destination should not make a difference. Now that may, you know, we're obviously the default configuration is going to be for you know, the Office and I believe the mail client within Mac. If there's others available, I'm not a Mac expert, but we can obviously incorporate that in future, support for that in future builds.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, now getting into preferences, which you can access from here. Okay, here's the general. So this is where you select your home page. Okay, then account. This is where all your account information is that you've inputted through the initial setup. Here's the standard default activity settings. And then last is your sync schedule. Okay, where you can set it for weekdays, weeknights, and weekends. And then back to the dashboards. Okay, collapsing, expanding. As I said, this little collapse button we may incorporate into the actual menu itself, but that is it. That is a quick overview of Handheld Contact Mac edition. So I hope this was a nice surprise, a pleasant surprise, and that everyone is pleased that we've been able to introduce this into the ecosystem, which I think a lot of people have been waiting for quite some time, to be able to expand the compatibility and the access to Mac users. Okay, so with that, that wraps up my prepared demonstration. So let's open it up to questions.
So far, all the questions have been answered, Ken, as we've gone along.
Okay,
so
perfect.
If there's any questions, get them in the next couple of seconds.
Yeah, we're pretty excited about this. I mean, this gives us, you know, a pretty good platform to, you know, to really sell into, and obviously what we saw yesterday on the product call with the SSO client. I mean, I've seen demos of this previously. The SSO client is superb. Like, it's really fast. I think it's you know, really you know, a lot of credit to SwiftPage for being able to bring that to market over the last year. But let me point out the obvious. Yes, you can still access it on a Mac with Safari, but you've got no Office integration. Okay, and it's still 100% web-based. Okay, and you know, we all heard about Nexus. Nexus has no Office integration. Not only is it not ready, but it's got no Office integration. So you're not exporting to Excel, you're not merging, and it's really even difficult to that because Nexus stores session data only. So even if you tried to do reporting, you tried to do merge, you tried to do lookups, there's no guarantee that any of those functions are going to be complete, because Nexus is using PWA, which will only access and download session data that you've actually viewed or accessed.
All right, Ken, we do have a couple questions.
Okay.
When will this be ready again? I think beta will be in July. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, I would expect that the beta should be done by the end of this month, early next, likely early next. And we're going to obviously include our partners, and we're going to go through an internal beta for probably about a week, and then we'll expand it to an external beta. Craig is our new manager of beta testing, so he'll be the one that's coordinating that and receiving all the feedback, and then Vic will likely be the one that's you know, recruiting the external testers when it's time.
All right, next question. What are the resources like for HHC API version on the server in comparison to the classic version?
Oh, there's no comparison. Okay, like the classic version required the Handheld Contact console to be running. okay, constantly, which, you know, anytime you got into a big sink, it would consume a lot of memory. Plus it required the people managing the servers to make any changes. Now we did improve some functions and put a lot of control back, things like resend all at the device level, so that would reduce the overhead for the hosting providers. But, you know, truthfully, the classic just, you know, consumed a lot of memory on the server side, and often they had to have a dedicated instance. But also, more importantly, for people that are managing in a multi-user environment, you know, all of these things synced sequentially. So if you had 20 handheld contact users configured within a console, there was no way to multi-thread that. They would all sync sequentially. So if you got one that took 1 or 2 hours, everyone else would wait in queue, and that would delay the sync intervals for all of them. Okay, so not only was it a huge pig for the, and I'm only saying that comparatively, but a huge resource consumer on the server side, but it put everyone in a queue that doesn't exist now with the API version or the Mac version, where they can access the data directly independent of the console.
Excellent, thank you. Will this work on older Macs?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, we haven't tested that yet, Alan?
We haven't set the system requirements yet, and I'll probably have to consult with our developers to know, which technology with the development of this they're going to be relying on. So what will be the minimum system requirements? It's a good question. I'm not a Mac guy, so I can tell you, very quickly for Windows, but I'm not a Mac guy, so I'll have to get back to you on that.
All right, the next question is, and I think we're not quite ready for this, but are we selling this via traditional HHC partner login? And the answer will be yes to that, but yes. That isn't set up yet.
This is an HHC product, and obviously we have actually completed, by today, we've completed all the licensing. You guys can't see it, but we've completed all the licensing changes to support this on the back end, but we haven't surfaced it yet. And we normally take 2 or 3 days with Josh to add it to our shopping cart and then make it available within your management console.
All right, and here's just to confirm understanding that how it works. The database would be hosted on a Windows machine, and the Mac user would need an ACT license. Then it would be $80 additional for HHC Mac client.
Yeah, I want to be that's a good question. This does not circumvent any licensing required for Mac. Not only do you have to have a valid ACT user with API permissions, okay, they've got to be full license, standard or higher, okay, with this, and have the API permissions. So this in no way circumvents any kind of ACT licensing requirements. And why would we want to? We all everyone on this call makes money off of selling ACT licenses. What this does is it widens the net for people that we can sell it to.
Okay, good. And the price is $80?
The price, if they have an existing API account, it's $40 more. So consider that almost like a handheld API plus account. Not sure if we're going to go with that commercial name quite yet. But we also had to think, well, what do we really want to force someone to buy a mobile client if they don't need one? And we thought that's not really fair if someone just has a Mac and doesn't have any mobile needs. So we created a separate Mac license that allows them for $80 to install it on all the Mac devices, all the Mac laptops that they have or computers that they have, Apple computers.
Excellent. That's all the questions we have for now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys. I know this was, a lot to review. There was a lot that we covered today, but just as a quick review, we're really, happy with what we've been able to cover with the 2 products. And we said there was 2 major product announcements. The API, I know everyone was waiting for since we released the iOS version. The Mac, we know, was a surprise, but we hope it's a good one. We hope it's something that people can really go to market with successfully and be able to start selling ACT with fewer apologies to those Mac users. To the resellers, we hope that you appreciate some of the resources and the branding that we've increased. For our marketing services, we hope that People like what we're offering in terms of the VIP diamonds and the support packages. Please take a moment in review to kind of go through kqd.ca to see some of the services that we're now offering. And then, some of the standard internal updates that we've done, the renewal tools, the license updaters, the FTP site, the soon to be discontinued download page, and then the offline activations. Okay, so any more questions, Vic?
No, that's it. And remember, if you want a copy of the recording, please email me and then I will send you a link for it. And that's about it. Thank you very much, Ken. Fantastic job. And we look forward to getting this to market.
Thank you, guys. Everyone have a great day.